Good afternoon from New Delhi. Good morning and good evening to you all. Thank you for joining this Acumen webinar on the internationalization of higher education in India from policy to partnership implementation. I'm delighted to welcome some very special guests to this call this afternoon. Dr. Shashank Shah, who is the Director and Senior Specialist of Higher Education at NITI Aayog. I'm delighted to have Dr. Pankaj Mittal, who's the Secretary General of the Association of Indian Universities. Welcome. And Dr. Raghu, who's the Chairperson and Advisory Council of IIT Madras and Zanzibar. My name is Adrian Mutton. I'm the founder and executive chairman of Acumen. And along with Dr. Raghu at IIT Madras and Dr. Mittal at AIU, we were proud knowledge partners to NITI Aayog on a 5-year review of India's groundbreaking national education policy, with a particular focus on its internationalization objectives. Through what was an exhaustive study, we looked at both the internationalization of Indian higher education system. We looked at the ecosystems that were developing around India's domestic higher education sector. And we've also looked at the role that international institutions, faculty, researchers, and cross-border student mobility has played on India's international higher education landscape. India is now home to, at least through announcements, the largest single number of formal standalone foreign branch campuses in the world. Obviously, there are a number of large joint initiatives in countries like China and the Middle East, but India has gone from a period of preventing strategic, local, scalable foreign collaboration to opening its doors and welcoming collaboration in teaching, in research, in faculty mobility, and has been promoting a very strong study in India agenda over the last 5 years. During this call, our task is to walk you through the work that we've been doing through this study and to set out what this means both for India, what India's priorities are as a nation, and how international universities can play an important role in contributing to India's future story. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Shashank Shah to give us some opening remarks. Shashank, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Adrian. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
Yes. Good evening to all the participants. It's wonderful being here at this webinar organized by Acumen to discuss, deliberate, and share the insights that we've gained as part of NITI Aayog's report on internationalization of higher education in India, along with our IIT Madras-led knowledge partners. That also includes the Association of Indian Universities and Acumen. For those who are joining us from outside India, I'd like to start by presenting some big numbers and the context of this report. I think it's very important for us to share with you that the internationalization of higher education in India is an imperative for shaping India's human capital in order to realize the vision of becoming a Viksit Bharat or a developed India by 2047. As you may be aware, we have the largest higher education age cohort in the world with almost 155 million individuals in the age of 18 to 23. We are also the second largest higher education ecosystem in the world with 45 million students. And our target is to achieve 50% gross enrollment ratio by 2035, which means that we will have nearly 80 million students in higher education, which is equivalent to the current population of Germany. So that is the scale which we are talking about. And it is important to note that the National Education Policy 2020 has underscored the importance of internationalization at home. Why do I say that? Because almost 3% of India's students go overseas for higher education. But the remaining 97% of students are studying in over 1,200 universities in India. And it is India's vision to be the supplier of high quality human capital to an aging society. And for that reason, gaining perspectives to global issues and looking at sectors and disciplines from a global lens is vital in order to create a future ready, world ready human capital. And it is with this objective in mind that internationalization is being prioritized in a big way. And as you are aware, the policy landscape has been reinforced by regulatory shifts, both by the University Grants Commission through its regulations and also by the IFSCA, also known as the GIFT City in Gandhinagar. So it's very important for all those who are interested in participating in India's growth story to understand 4 or 5 big ways in which they can contribute to internationalization at home. Firstly, I'd like to share that our current incoming versus outgoing student mobility is 1:28. For every one student coming in, 28 Indian students go out. And this is costing about 2% of India's GDP in terms of Indian students spending overseas. It's something around 6.2 trillion rupees. And that has also got a lot of economic implications. And that is another reason why we would be very keen that our students gain internationalized higher education in India. So there are 5 ways, and I'll cover each of them in a couple of sentences. The first is, of course, establishment of international branch campuses. As Adrian mentioned, that's something which a lot of universities from UK, Australia, US, and Italy, these 4 countries I'm aware of, have already signed agreements to establish campuses. Some have already started their campuses with the first academic year in motion. So that is one extreme of the opportunity, very heavy on investment, also very heavy on impact given the scale that we are looking at. Secondly is establishing centers of excellence in collaboration with Indian universities in Indian universities, where there can be collaborative research, joint research projects, and the output could be such that the host university and the guest university both benefit from the knowledge created, the patents generated, the research and report published. Third is the route of having joint twinning and dual degree programs, where both universities get together and co-create programs such that students get exposure to both the university in India as well as the university overseas. And there can be collaboration in designing of curriculum that has both an Indian flavor but also a global worldview. The fourth is exchange programs, where there are students getting opportunities to go overseas, faculty getting opportunities to go overseas and probably spend half a semester or a full semester and get exposure to a different university system. Lastly are the summer school programs, where students get opportunities to come to India for a fortnight, or Indian students go overseas and get exposure. If you see, these are 5 opportunities across different levels of the same spectrum, where the objective is to expose Indian students, Indian faculty, and in fact, even Indian university leadership to the way cutting edge work is done, the way global universities function, and what can be done differently for us while we leverage the expertise that exists in India, but also bring in international perspectives in the way our curriculum is delivered, so that we are able to co-create world-ready, future-ready human capital that can be supplied to the entire world, as is a stated objective. I'll leave you with a figure. By 2047, almost 2/3 of Indian population will be in the working age group. And it will be the largest working age group population in the world. And the other point is that India's demographic dividend makes its median age around 29. It is 39 in China, 38, 39 in China, and it's nearing 50 in Japan. And most European and East Asian countries are in that range. So India and Africa will be the younger demography for the next quarter century. So that also provides a phenomenal opportunity, not only for higher education in the 18 to 23 years age group, but also continuing education, a lifelong learning opportunity from 23 all the way to 60 or 65, where universities can add value to their alumni, like several top ranking universities do all over the world. Thank you. And I'll conclude my opening remarks here. Over to you, Adrian.
Thank you, Shashank. There's an excellent overview of both government policy, but also the imperative of a nation of opening its doors to internationalization of its higher education system. Dr. Mittal, you are responsible for overseeing the Indian higher education system. Over 1,000 institutions are under your auspices at the Association of Indian Universities. Give us a sector-wide view in India of the NEP vis-a-vis internationalization and where you see the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you, Adrian. I am Dr. Mittal. I am looking after Association of Indian Universities, which is the largest university association in the world. We have something like 1,200 universities as our members, and these 1,200 universities, along with their affiliated colleges, cater to around 45 million students, which are the students studying in the higher education ecosystem of the country. So this is a large association, and we indulge with the universities in a number of ways. We have a very close contact with the universities. We have a great convening power. We talk to the universities for academics, research, sports, culture, and mainly internationalization of higher education. So as Dr. Shashank was saying, the National Education Policy of India 2020 has given a lot of impetus to internationalization of higher education. And now Indian universities are allowed to go abroad. Foreign universities are allowed to come to India. We are allowed to have dual or joint degree programs with the foreign universities. Credit transfer is allowed. Even small things like having an international students office in every university, that has been made obligatory in the national education policy. So when this came up, we saw a lot of interest in India by many foreign countries. India is seen not only as a great country where a lot of, but it is seen as a great marketplace also, because the number of students, as Dr. Shashank was saying, our average age is 29 years. So the number of students in India are too large, and they are looking forward to quality education. Therefore, like around 1 million students go out of the country every year to study abroad. So as per the national education policy, foreign universities come to India, and if they offer the same quality foreign education to Indian students, that will be a win-win situation for all, because our students will save on time, money, energy, and they'll be getting the same quality of education here. And already 2 universities in the gift city, one under UGC regulation from UK, 2 in the gift city are from Australia. They've already set up their campuses here, and around 15 universities have been given a letter of intent for setting up their campus, and they are very fast progressing in the direction of setting up a campus. At AIU, because it is a large association of universities, we are trying to help the universities to promote internationalization. So what we do is that, like, we have set up a network called Indian Network for Internationalization of Higher Education, where we help our universities in promoting internationalization on their campuses, and also in finding right type of partner. Like, we are AIU, which is the Association of Indian Universities. Likewise, we have parallel university associations all over the world. Like, we have MOUs with these associations. For example, we have MOU with universities, UKI means Universities UK International, Universities Australia, Universities Canada, Fitchet, which is Taiwanese Universities Association, NUS, which is Mexican University Association, CRUE, Spanish University Association, Arab University Association, African University Association. So we have MOUs with all these associations. So whenever our member university wants to find a partner in any of these universities in these countries, it's very easy for us to find a partner through our association. So we are helping our universities in finding a partner in terms of joint degrees, dual degrees, research partnership, student exchange, teacher exchange, semester exchange, curriculum exchange, and many more types of partnerships. So the universities are collaborating with each other. And I feel that India is a place which is really of interest to many countries. We see every day delegations from UK, delegations from Australia, delegations from New Zealand, even Japan coming to India. Recently, Acumen signed an MOU with Japan, and we signed an MOU with Acumen to promote internationalization between India and Japan. So Indian universities and Japanese universities, we are promoting internationalization. For that also, a delegation of around 30 universities went to Japan around 2 months back, and there was a lot of interest seen at both the ends that how we can collaborate with each other despite the language problem. In Japan, there is a language issue of English and Japanese language, but despite that, there was a lot of interest in both the countries and both the universities. So I suppose India is something which is the future, and India is standing with open arms to welcome the universities from foreign countries and to welcome the partnerships. And we hope we will be doing a good work in this direction. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mittal. Raghu, if I can come to you now, we've talked about the broader sector. Talk about internationalization and the NEP from IIT Madras's perspective.
Thank you, Adrian. And of course, Pankaj and Shashank talked about internationalization from the perspective of students from abroad coming to India, and of course, students from India going abroad for education. Because students from India going abroad for education has been around for a long time. I think the new thing is that we have several branch campuses which are coming here, and many of these branch campuses come here with the idea of undergraduate education for students in India, which, as we all understand, it's a very large sector with a growing middle class population. The need for a lot more high quality institutions in India, it makes a lot of sense for institutions to be here to tap into this market, and also help India upskill their youth to be global citizens and so on. So that's a broader viewpoint. But IITs are a little unique in the sense that we get a lot more students than that we can admit at the undergrad level. So we have been focusing on internationalization in IITs from multiple perspectives. One is for our students to get a worldview. So we need international students in the campus. And the other aspect of internationalization that institutions such as IITs are focusing on are to go up the value chain in research. And it's very clear that the top research institutions have people from all over the world. So if you take US as an example, you look at top institutions, the kind of knowledge exchange that happens when people from different cultures come and meet at a point is tremendous. So those are things that possibly we have missed out in the last few years, which is being corrected. So from our view, internationalization is both for education at the undergraduate level, but also education at the postgraduate level, and also research interactions. So at IITs, we look at how we can bring in people to do work together, how our faculty can have mobility outside so that they imbibe the best practices from all over the world. So that's one part of internationalization, which I would say is a little bit more research focused, technology focused, that can help India and help the world, frankly. Of course, there is also the reverse idea of Indian institutions going abroad. And that's something that we have been very excited about. As many of you might know, IIT Madras was the first IIT to go outside of India. We have a campus in Zanzibar. And that's been an eye-opener for us in terms of how much of an impact you could have in another country in terms of technology and helping the society and so on. So that's going to be another thing that'll also keep expanding, I think. And of course, private institutions have been going outside and setting up campuses. IIT is going outside and setting up campuses. The objectives might be slightly different. We can discuss that more if there is interest. But from an IIT Madras viewpoint, again, the outreach outside is towards larger capacity building, larger impact on technology, and larger impact on the intellectual output that we can think about making. So we have taken to this going outside of India. IIT Madras Zanzibar is one model. There are other models we are looking at. We have something called IITM Global, through which we are going to go to many more countries and so on. So that's how I would broadly view internationalization from an IIT, I would not even say IIT Madras, IIT's perspective, where the objectives are slightly different from the other institutions which might be thinking about internationalization.
Thank you. So, Shashank, I'll come to you. We have just heard from Raghu that the IITs are, and I think this is recognized in the global higher education system, are a unique set of institutions that deliver to a certain proportion of the need in India, both in teaching and in research. But India waited a long time to launch its national education policy, and it double clicked on the need for internationalization at the heart of that policy. You touched in your opening remarks on the importance to India's own national goals of international higher education coming to the country. You yourself have studied in several fine institutions overseas, one in the UK and one in the US. What is it that you know about foreign institutions overseas that you're keen to see them bring to India and have that available to the nation?
Yeah, thanks, Adrian. I think this goes back a little bit. I mean, this question can be addressed by going back in history a bit. I think India's higher education system changed phenomenally in the mid 1800s during the British rule, where the objective was to have more of the UK kind of affiliating universities. So the primary goal of the education institutions was to create job ready students. And hence, a lot of colleges focused on providing courses in the traditional arts, sciences, and commerce streams. And the objective was of the university was to provide them an affiliating status and conduct the exams. And for long years after India's independence, this has largely remained the objective of most universities, especially the state public universities, which account for nearly 80% of all students in India. 80% of the 45 million students in India study in nearly 500 state public universities, which have about 35,000 plus affiliating colleges. So the focus of the universities and the colleges was more on the teaching side of things, that too predominantly undergraduate teaching. Whereas post independence, the focus of R&D or research was primarily with the R&D labs. A lot of top-notch R&D labs were established in India post 1947 after the independence. The National Chemical Laboratories, the National Physical Laboratories, ISRO, which is India's space research program, which is doing cutting edge work in space research and space sciences. So there is very clearly, except for the IITs, which are institutes of national importance where research and teaching coexist in a substantial measure, and research influences teaching and teaching feeds into research. So it has a symbiotic relationship such that faculty are aware of the latest developments in research and can take their learnings to the classroom, and students are exposed to the latest happening on the research side, so they may pursue research driven careers. And faculty who are into teaching also have opportunities to be part of research projects, take a break from teaching and do research project for a year or two in a very substantive measure. That's largely true for a specialized institution like the IITs. But in most universities, that is not possible. That is not there because of the sheer scale that we are talking about. So one key objective, which I think that universities from overseas that I would want India to kind of emulate, is to bring research and teaching in a very integrated fashion into our universities. The National Education Policy talks about it and refers to them as multidisciplinary education and research universities, where we break the silos of arts, science, and commerce and have multidisciplinary education with more integrated courses. And two, we have the opportunity of faculty to pursue research, students to pursue research projects, and those in the research domain also take courses, so that both these domains benefit from each other. and break the silos that is the predominant feature of Indian universities.
Thank you, Dr. Bhavna Kumar. You have been at the ground level dealing with international institutions who are coming over to India to look at the opportunity that the NEP provides. What are your remarks, having been at the heart of this study, having been with these universities on the ground, having the ear of the Indian institutions, and being out to see many of the employers for which these graduates would eventually be taking on board? Please share your views.
So, presently in the capacity of Director of Transnational Education and Institutional Partnerships, and with my 32 years of experience, enabling the prospects, policies, and potential, which is what this report was, and working along with NITI Aayog, IIT Madras, and AIU, we actually reached out to many countries, over 32, including some vice chancellors of the universities which have already announced campuses in India, sharing of their experiences of what they had been able to go through in terms of establishing collaborations. Few messages were very clear. The shift from just the MOU-led partnerships, which was being seen in the initial days of internationalization in the country, was moving towards more in terms of outcomes, relevance, transparencies. And there was a very, very keen shift that everything has to be looked at in the eyes of employability, skilling, and there has to be something which should be able to bridge the gaps that are needed by the Indian higher education system itself. We talked to more than 1,600 higher education institutions as well, and all the players were very keen in being able to establish collaborations which would also lead in capacity development and potential the Indian citizens, the Indian students need. Recently, we also then, as an extension to this report that we researched on so exhaustively, reached out to over 160 employers. And we said that, what is your view about the graduates which are coming out of Indian universities, and what do you think about the readiness that the international branch campuses will be leading to? And that report cleanly said that, as long as the students, the infrastructure that institutions wants to come and establish in India is fine. But the true measure is going to be not in terms of just the announcement of a campus or a building or a floor. It has to be in the form of the confidence that we as employers or the students as graduates, that yes, this is an investment which will lead me to be able to return back that skill of education that I'm acquiring through any higher education institution into true ability to be able to either launch my own startup or to be able to work in an industry which is able to give me that return on investment. And that is exactly where I think that potential to collaborate. For foreign universities, we work with over 126 universities across the world, and all of them are also now keenly looking at models which may be just beyond coming and having a presence or just about mobility. Everybody is talking about integrative models, which are either built on research and development, but more in terms of also enabling an employer to be involved in that partnership. There has to be an angle where the industry is supporting that partnership, where a particular alumni of that foreign university has come back. And our study also deals with the very deep trust that Indian diaspora abroad want to come back and return back to the country. And that is now being seen in the foreign universities that we are talking to, as well as the Indian universities we are connecting with, that this bridge has to be built where it is a helix which is supporting the students, the parents, the faculty, the research and development ecosystem, as well as the employer community.
Thank you. Very clear message from the employers in that report, and we'll share a link with it to the attendees after the webinar. Pankaj, you represent those 1,200 universities in India who are now aware of the internationalization opportunity. There will be ranges of expertise within your members, no doubt. But give our international guests a sense of what your members are looking for from an international partner.
So, Indian universities are very keen on partnerships. And many times it is felt that just signing MOUs is partnership, signing MOUs is not partnership. So 5 things which I feel are very, very important from the Indian perspective for any partnership is, first, we should partner for purpose. partnership should be for the purpose. Commercials can follow the purpose, but commercial should not be the main say attraction for any partnership. So partner for a purpose. Second, if a foreign university is coming for a partnership, there should be a investment both from the Indian side as well as the foreign side for dedicated infrastructure as well as people. So unless we invest in infra and people, no partnership is going to succeed. Third, whenever we partner, we should not have a short-term vision. We should either work for a mid-term or a long-term vision, at least 5 years long vision. So we cannot tell the success of any partnership in a very, very short time. So it has to be a mid-term or a long-term vision. So if we want a partner in India or for any partnership to succeed, it has to be a mid-term to long-term vision. Fourth, as I was saying, that number of MOUs, increasing the number of MOUs are not going to help, because MOUs don't translate into partnerships. We have to remain focused. So whether it is Indian university or a foreign university, they have to remain focused and do less number of MOUs but meaningful partnerships. So MOUs per se will not translate into partnership. And fifth, the research should be made the center point for any partnership. So unless we talk of research, so even if we are having a dual degree, joint degree, the research component is very, very important. So I feel that the research front should be center point for all the partnerships. And if we have only and it should be the real work. Like sometimes we do a lot of articulation, so pure articulation is not going to work. We have to go in for the real partnerships with real work in hand, and if we follow these principles, the partnerships will succeed. And I do feel that India is the future, because as per one report, 60% of the world's talent is in global south. 60% of the world's talent is in global south, and out of that 60%, 25% is with India, and around the same number, 25% is with Africa. So India and Africa are the two countries which will be sought after countries in future also. So we can, I mean, the foreign participants who are here, that is why many people show a lot of interest in India. So we can look forward to such partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you highlight two really important things there. One is partnership for purpose, and it should be a true partnership. One of the things that we're seeing on the ground in India is that there is a need for capacity building. Indian institutions don't have the understanding of internationalization. They don't understand at scale, perhaps, how to launch innovation, entrepreneurship, research centers in the way that Shashank identified some universities overseas have that experience and that funding. And I think these are two really important things to recognize, because as these international institutions are coming in, they're going to need their own talent to run their operations. They're going to need their own talent to scale. And I think there's a great opportunity for international institutions to work with the likes of AIU to help build that capacity and ensure that there are enough people with the right internationalization skills within those Indian universities. Raghu, IIT Madras has had partnerships for many, many years, but over the last 5 years since the NEP has been launched, as you talked about, you've had your own ambitions to expand internationally with IIT Zanzibar, which is a very applaudable leadership effort. But talk to us about the type of partnerships that you're proud of with international universities that you've done here in India, so that institutions who haven't yet developed a strategic partnership with the likes of an IIT or any other university can think, well, actually, yeah, that's the type of thing that we would be keen on doing, and give a sense of what made that partnership successful.
So thank you, Adrian. So from the foreign universities viewpoint, clearly from the interest shown in setting up campuses for undergraduate education, the reasons are obvious, right? But one other aspect of internationalization in India for other universities from abroad is the ability to get really high quality graduate students. With pressures on visas and how expensive graduate students are in the Western world. I've been a faculty in the US for several years, and I've been a faculty here at IIT Madras for several years. I know how much it costs to have a grad student work on a research problem in the US and in India. It's significantly different. So one of the things that the foreign universities and partners who are in this webinar can start thinking about is leveraging this graduate student pool for research and so on. And those are the kinds of relationships that I am very, very proud of at IIT Madras. We have about 19 joint doctoral programs with universities from all over the world. Several Australian, several European, a couple in North America, and so on. And we have about 80 or 90 students who are pursuing their joint PhDs. So this is a real win-win for our partner institutions. And this comes from a real need from both sides. We would like to collaborate with the best minds across the world, and the best minds across the world need graduate students to work on problems. So joint doctoral programs are one of the things that I'm very, very happy about in terms of the changes that we have made. Just to give you a data point, at IIT Madras right now, there will be about 3,500 PhD students doing research in different fields. Maybe 30 years back, it might have been 50 or 100, right? So you can see the scale of increase in terms of graduate students, and these are really good students. So that's something that I think universities abroad can think about, and that's something that I'm very, very happy with. So that is from a research viewpoint. From an education viewpoint, again, the position that IITs hold in India, we usually do not do joint programs at the undergraduate level, but we are starting to do joint programs at the master's level with several universities. And this, again, is a place where you can come up with really top-notch bespoke master's programs that are joint programs, where students can come from India, from partner country, or from the local region of India. We find that students from Nepal, students from Sri Lanka, students from Bangladesh, and so on. These are students who would really be interested in getting this kind of education on top quality programs where there are more than one partner offering this. So we have programs with the University of Birmingham in data science and AI, sustainable energy systems, and we're looking at many more such programs. So that's another focus area for us. How do we bring at one level higher than undergrad education, at the master's level, absolutely top-notch programs through partnerships? That's another thing that I'm very happy with in terms of what we are trying to do here at IIT Madras.
Great, thank you. Shashank, NITI Aayog's role as the think tank for the government of India is to solve challenges and unlock potential through laying out a pathway for others to consider. Clearly, the NEP is a transformational policy. In your report, you laid out 22 suggested policy recommendations. Where do you think the internationalization component of the NEP can have the biggest impact, and where would you like to see it have the biggest impact on India's future economic agenda?
I think the answer goes back to what I said earlier. I think it's at two levels. First and foremost, most important is research. I think it's also research, not just for India, but research for the world. India has shown by track record our expertise in low cost, high impact research. The space field is one example where our mission to Mars was cheaper than a Hollywood movie. So that's the kind of value for money research, high impact research happens in India. And it is because of the innovation that is possible in India, given the resource constraints. We are a developing economy and emerging economy, so we don't have unlimited resources, but we have a phenomenal demographic advantage and very, very ambitious visions and plans. And so universities considering to come to India would like to focus on research as a very, very key contributor. I'm glad all of us are on the same page, whether it is Dr. Mittal, Professor Raghu, or myself. We are all saying the same thing because we feel that is an area where international universities can contribute immensely. In fact, what I see is a lot of universities that are currently coming in India focusing on undergraduate programs. But to be honest, undergraduate programs is a forte of Indian universities already. IITs have very good undergraduate programs. Some of the private deemed universities have very good undergrad programs. Some of the finest Indian diaspora who are leading global multinational corporations are alumni of India's undergraduate programs. So we already have an established track record where international universities can contribute to India in addition to research, which I mentioned, is in postgraduate programs and research-based programs, capstone programs, specialized programs where expertise may not be there in India. So there will be a win-win. They'll be able to contribute in an area where we may not already have expertise, and India will also be able to benefit and contribute back, as I said, because of low-cost, high-impact research, but also by creating human capital that can kind of contribute to those labs in the universities that these researchers have come from. So I think research, postgraduate programs, joint research projects which have country expertise playing out. For example, universities from different parts of Europe that have specialized expertise in areas energy, manufacturing, precision equipment. There are so many areas that several European countries, for that matter, North American countries have. Can that expertise or that particular uniqueness of that country be brought to play by a university of that country through a research lab or a center of excellence in a leading university where both together come up with solutions that are going to be beneficial not only to the country with expertise coming into India, but also helping India and the global south. So that's a huge area of potential. We have very few of those. You mentioned about my experience overseas. Harvard has so many country centers of excellence in different countries where they do research, where they write case studies, where they do specialized executive education programs, where they bring Harvard expertise into play, but also target the areas of focus for the host country. Similarly, most leading universities, University of Chicago has a center of excellence here in Delhi, about 2 kilometers from where I sit, and does a lot of cutting edge policy work, data to policy translation, with the likes of Nobel laureate Professor Michael Kramer advising the Center of Excellence sitting in Chicago. So there are examples of leading universities leveraging their expertise by establishing geographic presence in India on the research side. And those that would want to set up international branch campuses here, I would suggest instead of going for scale, they may want to go for quality and niche focus, because that is what internationalization at home is really looking for. And probably have more internationalized experience on your campuses. The faculty composition should be a mix of nationalities. The student composition should be a mix of nationalities. If an international branch campus in India has 98% of students as Indians and 98% of faculty as Indians, then you are not going to be able to pitch yourself as an international branch campus. You would be seen as another private university, because we already have private universities who have a great brand and collaborations overseas. So especially those universities keen to establish their campuses here, they may want to ensure that you may not be able to get students from UK register in India, but can India be your hub for South Asia, Southeast Asia, Southeast and West Asia, so that students from 10, 15 different nationalities from these countries come to your international branch campus here, and faculty from these 15, 20 different countries come as a faculty here for a year or two. I know of very good examples of international branch campuses in other parts of the world where that is being done. If that is not done in India, I am afraid this experiment may not be as successful as it is being envisaged. So my appeal to all those who may want to consider this, is to look at it from that particular angle and not look at it from trying to recruit, quote unquote, recruit students from India, recruit faculty from India, and probably even get the funding from India and then call it an international branch campus. That will be a dent on the brand of the university establishing a branch campus.
Yeah, thank you. I think the message is clear there. Bhavna talked about what the employers in India are saying from a graduate employability perspective. There's a very, very strong push in India for the indigenization of manufacturing. There's a very strong push for IP creation within Indian businesses, and we're seeing a lot more corporate R&D spend domestically. And I think international universities have a wonderful opportunity of replicating what they've done overseas with some of their corporate R&D partnerships, but also using India as an opportunity to develop new corporate partnerships. You talked about some of the students that are seeking to travel outside of India, obviously 3% only. But Pankaj, I know you have a very clear vision for study in India, and you feel that branch campuses here shouldn't just be targeting the locale around those campuses, but they should be a hub of welcoming students in from all over the world. Just give us a sense of how universities can think about whether it's a center, whether it's executive education, whether it's a branch campus. What's your vision for foreign universities actually attracting foreign students or professionals for exec ed to Indian shores? Because you've got it's a fabulous destination to come and spend some time to study and do an exec ed program.
Adrian, you know that Indians, if they can afford, they are fond of foreign education. They want quality foreign education, although we do have premium institutions in India which offer very good quality education. But the admission to these institutions is very, very difficult. And for some, the attraction of a foreign education is too big. So our students do want foreign education, and that is why, as Shashank was saying, around 3% of the students go every year outside the country to pursue foreign education. Now, if that foreign education is available in India, then it's not that every student who was wanting to go to foreign country for foreign education will stay back in India. Not every, because some go to those countries for experiencing that country, to experience the culture, or even to eventually get settled or get some jobs over there. So the ones who are not able to afford foreign education, because the foreign education which they get in India will be at a lower price, and the cost of living will not be that high as it is in foreign countries. And thirdly, the universities are also offering a discount. And thirdly, they'll be at the home. I mean, the foreign education will be at their doorstep. But if the foreign universities feel that they will just take Indian students, or rather poach Indian students from the private universities, that is not the right approach. Right now, some of the foreign universities, they are trying to think that we will have faculty as well as students from India, and they will be running the show. But that will, a lot of say resentment will be there on the part of the private universities, because they're already having good faculty as well as good students. So what foreign universities in India should focus on is that they should be having at least, say, 50% of the foreign faculty, so that the students who are studying in these foreign universities do get the feel of a foreign faculty, how the foreign faculty teaches, their pedagogy, their style, their assessment method, how the foreign faculty is teaching. And second thing, these universities should also look forward to having not only Indian students, but students at least from the neighboring countries. Like nowadays, right now, many students from, say, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Afghanistan, they are going to foreign countries for studying, and that is very far off. So can they see India as an alternate destination to study in those foreign universities for which they were going abroad? So Indian foreign universities, means foreign universities in India, should look forward to not only India, but at least whole of Southeast Asia, so that the mix is also good. If only Indian students are studying, that diversity in the student population is not there. So diversity in student population is very, very important, both for the Indian campuses as well as the foreign campuses. So Indian campuses, we always say that diversity should be there. We should have more foreign students in India. Right now, we have something like 49,000 foreign students. We need more foreign students because there should be a diversity in the campus, and there should be mutual learning, co-learning spaces should be created. Same way in foreign campuses, co-learning spaces have to be created. It should not be only Indian students, it should be students from many countries, so that there is a ecosystem which is conducive to learning from each other or learning culture from of different countries. So I think that would be the right approach, both faculty as well as students.
Thank
I
you.
just add one phrase to what Dr. Mittal said. I would call it the social license to operate for the international universities wanting to establish campuses here. They should be able to win over their peers, the private universities, the public universities, by processes and practices that are not detrimental to the interests of the existing universities. And hence, it should be, the size of the pie is too huge. And hence, in the corporate language, if I can say, the size of the pie is too huge. And hence, it is possible for you to get the best of the students here, but also leverage the presence of a lot of countries in our neighborhood and try and make this an attractive proposition for them to come.
And also to
Thank
add
you.
to that, the foreign universities, once they are in India, it is easier for them to have research partnerships or dual degrees or joint degrees with the Indian universities. So within India also, they can have partnerships with Indian universities, and that will also help them as well as Indian universities.
Thank you. Raghu, from IIT Madras's perspective, just talk a little bit about how you've internationalized your home campus, international students visiting IIT Madras campus, faculty from overseas coming and doing research and joint teaching.
Yeah, so we have put together several schemes, Adrian. Every semester we have about 40 to 50 students, largely from Europe, who come in as exchange students. That's really enriching because they sit in the regular undergraduate classes, they get their grades, and that's been really good in terms of student mobility. We also have something called international immersion experience, where we send our PhD students abroad 3 to 6 months to different labs, and we also invite students from different labs to come to IIT Madras for 3 to 6 months. And that's a program that has picked up speed, and we have several students that are starting to come here. But the biggest mobility has been international faculty coming into IIT Madras. We have special schemes where we get international faculty to come to IIT Madras. In the last few years, you would have had more than 100 faculty, absolutely top quality faculty, who come to IIT Madras and work with our faculty here. And these are actually enabled through already existing research collaborations that our faculty have with faculty abroad. An interesting thing about IITs is that a large number of the faculty we have in IITs have got their PhDs abroad. So they already have several connections that they can leverage. One last program that I will mention is something called Jointly Funded Bilateral Mobility Program, where we have partnered with universities where we put in certain amount of money, the partner university puts in certain amount of money. We combine that pool to have mobility so that faculty can talk to each other and so on. So all of these programs are starting to show results. We have lots of students from abroad and faculty visiting here. And that's really enriching, and that's going to make a difference in the long run.
Thank you. Bhavna, you've been taking many universities at the length and breadth of India, talking to them about their branch campuses, some who've already announced and launched, some who are exploring the market. Just give us a sense of the early lessons that have been learned on those that are coming to India to launch or think about launching branch campuses.
So I am a born and brought up in India person, very excited, but our country is very complex and our education system is even more complex. For anybody to come and establish or have an India market strategy, as with any other market strategy, it is never going to be a very straightforward process. The government regulations, of course, have eased the load, but even when privatization started in India from 2005, there were many lessons to be learned in the way that education has to be brought to the country. Similarly, for any foreign university to be able to come and establish and create that confidence, trust, and that attraction for the students, the 2% who are going out is fine, but the 98% who want to stay back. The perception of the Indian students and parents is still to be able to get into one of the very highly sought Indian universities at the undergrad level, as we've been saying. So what is the right way in which a foreign university can establish that kind of a market strategy is a very, very important consideration. And there is never any one size fits all. There are many variables. We have been constantly analyzing, researching, and understanding that, whether it is from the perspective of different states in the country, which are the states where the location could be a issue, which is the right partnership that you have to establish. It could be with a local partner, it could be with an independent investment, it could be with an existing Indian university, it could be in the form of just a form of a research center. Like Dr. Shashank mentioned, many universities have just wanted to come back and establish their own centers of excellence or a research center. It could be in the form of giving that executive education, because education is one thing that our country values a lot. And that continuity of education, especially in the complex ways in which areas are changing, lifelong learning is the mantra. Now, which is that niche that is not currently there in our present education system, which can be fulfilled. If I today want to do a course in clean energy or water management, can I do it with some foreign university which is having established that, yes, they were able to give that clean energy solution to their part of the world? Sustainability, ESG, I mean, areas, financial crime compliance. We've recently helped one of the universities to identify that as a niche program that could be offered in India. It's something which is a growing interest. It's not in the form of necessarily having an international branch campus. It is something that particular foreign university would be very good at. It's something which the country needs. And that is something which we just help to map and align and bring the collaborative platform together.
Yeah, thank you. I think that lends itself to the niche subjects that were being talked about earlier. There is really world-class expertise that doesn't need to be brought to India in the form of a formal degree, but will still add tremendous value to both undergrad, postgrad, and particularly exec ed. I think one of the things that we all appreciate is that the world's way of doing business is changing very, very rapidly again with the advent of AI. And I feel like the executive education opportunity in India is going to reinvent itself multiple times over in the next 5 to 10 years. And I think that's a wonderful opportunity for forward-thinking institutions. We're just coming to the end of our session. I'd like to thank my panelists. Before I do that, I try to address the Q&A that have been posed.
Adrian, can I just make one point to what Dr. Bhavna was saying?
Please do.
I think a great advantage for the international universities wanting to do research collaborations with Indian universities is also going to be the scale, the scope, and the lens through which research publications will emerge from these collaborations. What has been observed is that a majority of the research publications, especially in the humanities, but also in the STEM areas, have a predominantly global north focus. But there are so many interesting challenges to address and innovative ways to explore for challenges in the global south. And for that, there is need both for participants of the research programs from the global south, but also the sample size and the kind of primary research that we do, especially in the humanities, for people from the global south. And by collaborating with India and countries around India in centers of excellence within Indian universities, we'll be able to break new ground together with this global north, global south collaboration and reduce this queue of predominant research and publications with a global north lens.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. That's a great way to finish, Shashank. This has just been a very small snapshot of what's been a very, very comprehensive report. I would encourage everyone to take NITI Aayog's report on internationalization. It can become the Bible of what you use to refer to on your campus to talk about internationalization and the role that you can play in India. Dr. Shah, Dr. Mittal, Professor Rangaswamy, Dr. Kumar, thank you all for your contributions, for your ongoing partnership, and to all of you who've joined us from across the world. Thank you for joining this Acumen webinar, and we will of course be available to answer any further questions, and we will share the report of NITI Aayog and the additional reports that have been referred to in this call. Thank you very much. Good evening and all the best. Thank you.